Hello everyone, welcome back to my shop at Good Maple Bowls. Today we'll be looking at this maple bowl that I turned, which gave me a lot of issues. I also had a little accident towards the end, so my idea with this video is to show how I navigated around those issues and the kind of bowl I was able to get out of this piece at the end. These concepts apply to larger bowls as well, so please keep watching and let me know what you think of my bowl at the end. With that, let's get started. Okay, so for some background, I have this piece of maple that I had rough turned about 6 months ago. It has been drying in the shop, and at this point is ready for the final turn. So far, what you've seen me do is clean the face of the bowl so I have a nice flat surface that I can use to mount on my chuck. This bowl will now get final turned on the outside as usual, and then I'll flip it around and I'll core the inside. At this point, I don't have a lot of decisions to make. My shape of the bowl is pre-established, as I did that about 6 months ago when I was rough turning the bowl. All I have to do is follow the general shape of the bowl and clean up any uneven surfaces. Any high points or low points in the bowl will now get cleaned up, and my general idea is that I get a clean enough surface that I can prepare it for scraping, just like I'm doing right now. Generally, with scraping, I can get a surface clean enough that I can go in sanding straight at 180 grids. This is one of the best things I've found about using a scraper, that I can skip some of those grids and really speed up my turning time. At this point, I'm checking my surface and it was near perfect. I did notice, however, that during the drying process, there was a small knot in this bowl that had developed some cracks. The way I like to handle that is with some of this black wood filler. It dries like a wood-like texture and has a matte finish, which I do like. It sands well, so I've been using this in my bowls more recently. I'll just let the filler do its thing. I'm gonna leave the bowl overnight. I'm going to come back to this next day, flip it around, and bring you guys back then. Okay, at this point, it's the next day, and all I have to do is clean up the surface of the bowl, core it out, clean it up with the scraper, and I'll be done. But I definitely had some issues going into this. I'm going through the process of coring out the bowl. One thing that really helps me is taking a big sweeping motion where I start at the farther end of the bowl and then go towards the center, moving my bowl gouge throughout the way. This lets me create that nice curve that makes sanding and scraping at the end a lot easier. Now as I come close to finishing up coring with my bowl gouge, I notice that there's a big knot towards the bottom of the bowl. This knot did not come through on the other side, so I wasn't actually expecting it here. I'd made a mental note to come back and clean up that knot later. At this point, I decided to go forward and start scraping to get that final curve of the bowl. At this point, the final curve of the bowl was looking pretty good. I was working on the rim of the bowl to finish it up, and I could start sanding. I thought I wanted to go back and get one more pass to clean up the bottom of the bowl, and then this happened. In the 1 second I was looking away to readjust my tool rest, I got my scraper on the rim of the bowl, and yeah. From here, my choices weren't many. I pretty much had to cut the rim of the bowl down to where I had solid wood, and then try to salvage any kind of bowl I can get from the remaining piece of wood. With the existing shape of the bowl, I decided that the best rim we could have for this bowl was one that was sweeping outwards. It gives us a nice open appearance, and at the end I was happy with how the surface turned out, so I decided I would scrape it, get it ready for sanding here. At this point, the final surface looked good, I was happy with the shape, so I decided to move forward with the bowl. Now if you remember, there were at least two knots that I mentioned previously in this video. They both needed to be addressed. Even though I had that whole accent with the rim, I still needed something to fill those little spots in the bowl. It's the next day, day 3 on this bowl, and it's finally ready for the final scraping of the face, sanding, and cleaning up. Surface was looking good, and I was happy with that final pass of my scraper. But, oh, would you look at that? What I'm looking at here is that little knot right in the middle of that bowl. When I touched it, it moved a little bit, and I knew it had to go. So here's how I deal with it. That's right, pop that bad boy out, put some wood filler in, and wait one more day. Welcome back. It is the next day. Off camera, I did touch up the wood filler just a little bit. Now that I have my surface ready, I'm gonna go in with the scraper, get my final surface, and get ready for sanding. I like to take really small passes when I'm doing the walls of the bowl because it has a tendency to catch on a scraper, and that leaves behind tool marks such as gouges in the wood, which can be difficult to sand out. That's why I'm taking my time with this process. Once complete, then I wouldn't have to do it again. final surface looks good. I'm ready for sanding. I set up my dust collector and I use my power sander starting at 180 grit. By the end of this process, I have my final surface sanded. I do like to go through with one extra step at the end, which is to take some shavings from the inside of the bowl and rub it at higher speeds to essentially polish or burnish the surface of the wood. It takes away any sanding marks, any concurrent lines that you might have inside, makes the surface looks a little bit cleaner, ready to receive the finish. Here I'm using a rag dipped in tung oil. I'm letting the bowl spin at high speeds, getting some heat generated, which lets the tung oil flow better into the pores of the wood. I go over the outside surface of the bowl a little bit more and finish it off with a layer of beeswax. Before I can call the bowl finished, I did have a small accident at the beginning of the video. The bowl was still in the chuck jaws when I had my catch with the scraper that broke the rim of my bowl. That did leave an impact mark on the foot of the bowl. To remedy this, I flipped the bowl, put it on a jam chuck, which is just a big block of wood with some fabric on top of it, and I can now spin it on the lathe and sand off any imperfections left behind on the foot. And this is it, the final step in preparing this bowl. I definitely had a lot of fun with it. I also had moments of frustration, but I was happy to get past that and have a nice, really pretty looking bowl by the end of the process. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and kind of walking you through what goes in my mind when I'm turning this piece. Please let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.